Welcome at the 21st edition of Botcasters, today with Pascal Rosenberger from Switzerland from Eggheads. Pascal,
Hi,
welcome.
Doron. Hi, Doron.
Hi. Thank you for being here. Please introduce yourself and your company.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm one of the founders of Eggheads. We are two founders. I run the business from the business side and marketing and sales perspective on, and my partner has the technical hat on. I live in Zurich, Switzerland, as you mentioned before. I'm married, have two kids at the age 5 and 8, and this time of the year we enjoy the snow from time to time.
At least you have snow.
Yes, it arrived finally in January.
So you can ski. But tell us a bit more about your company, what you guys do, because you do something very specific. And how did you end up in this business? Because everybody has a specific story, which I believe it's interesting.
Yeah, thanks for asking. What we provide is a way that you can make knowledge stick and that you can raise awareness with chat-based knowledge learning nuggets. Or technically speaking, chatbots. That's what we will talk today from our side. As with many other startups, this is not our first idea. We tried something else at first. So we started off as a trip advisor for further education, as we called it, and positioned it at the beginning. There were a couple of attempts that we took to try to crack the market, like adding reviews to a course catalog was the first one. But also then we tried it on a more technical level to expand the catalog on an automated way by scraping websites, stuff like that. We experimented on pricing level from listing fees to lead-based models. And there was a lot that we tried to crack the market. And then there was this time when the whole world started to talk about chatbots. So that was around 2016, 17, 18. This time, then we figured, okay, let's try this technology because, giving access to a catalog of courses, so like e-commerce in a broader sense, but it's for a topic that not many people get so enthusiastic about. So we figured, okay, this could be a way to, lower the threshold, make it easier for people to do their research and find eventually a course that meets their need. And we built that. So that was our first chatbot that we launched in 2018. And we positioned it as a digital course advisor then. It worked. It got good feedback. Some people loved it. A few hated it. But the interesting observation was there that we saw how engaged people were with these chatbots, the time they spent in the conversations, and also the information that they shared. So having observed that, we figured, well, why not share the knowledge itself, the content itself in this conversational way? So that was basically the initial idea and observation. And then, as it was not our first idea, we approached it differently. We just started to build when we had a partner. It was a big insurance company. They believed in the idea and they figured, well, this could actually work because everybody's using chat these days. And there's a whole big audience that our partner had to serve at that time. And we figured, okay, let's give it a try. So then we started to co-develop it with our partner, built the MVP, tested it there. And the results were so good that they said, okay, we want to have this as a solution in our learning and communication stack. And from there we knew, okay, this seems to be a valid product. And from there we started to turn it into a business.
And what are you selling right now? I think let's make it a little bit more concrete.
It's a cloud-based solution, a software as a service. So what you get is access to our platform where you can create chat-based learning nuggets or build, technically speaking, rule-based chatbots, where you can create this content, where you can share it, and where you can analyze it. So these are basically the three major steps that you can use in learning in a broader sense, and also for communication purposes. So it's micro content in a conversational way. So we can call it and position it as a micro-learning solution or also as a content type solution.
And the way it's configured, the way it works now is that the company wants...
Okay, das habe ich online zu laden.
That was Siri talking about chatbots.
Siri,
kind of weird,
Siri really wants to be in a podcast.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Tell Siri to shut up. No, the way it's set up, that basically the company figures the staff or people need to learn something or need to take ownership of some information or knowledge, and it sets up a course or a way to communicate stuff and check if they actually understood it. Am I correct that step-based learning? Is that what it does?
Yeah, and you hit it quite well there. So basically, typically it starts like with a business that wants to change something, like how people behave, how people think about something, like change an attitude, a mindset. And there's a whole set of instruments that you could use to do so. Classroom training, e-learning training, events where you gather people. But quite often what you see is that not much happens afterwards. You have one big learning event or gathering or something, but then, okay, you tick the box, or your annual compliance training, you tick the box and say, okay, now we've done it and people have learned it, but what you observe, it's actually not much changes thereafter. So this is actually the main business point and the challenge that we help to solve, that you can have an impact on how people think and behave. How can you do that? You build such rule-based chatbots, such short learning nuggets that have a conversational tone to them and that tap into all the elements that you have in chats and make it casual, playful, but also short and interactive. And that's how you get the knowledge across, and compared to how you did it before, not just in one session that tells it all, says it all, but you repeat it over time, which helps to memorize, which helps to learn and make the knowledge stick eventually. Or when you have a topic where it's more about being people aware of something, like cyber risks, for example, or compliance topics, where you want that people know how big the gifts are that they can receive, for example, or stuff like diversity, bias topics, diversity and inclusion, equality, these topics where it's about the awareness. So then you send out regular short interactions, each maybe a minute, maybe two, so in that range that you can pack in a busy day, and where you get engagement with the topic and repeat it over time.
Now, the question comes to mind, or to my mind at least, is I presume you guys tested this against a regular way of learning and compared results or impact in behavior in some way to prove your case to companies you're dealing with. How does that work out? How much better does the conversational approach, I presume it's better, otherwise you wouldn't be in the market, but how much better does it score compared to traditional ways of learning and teaching and actually broadcasting a message? Because that's what a lot of the times happen.
Well, there are a couple of benefits. First of all, it's short and brief and to the point. So that means you can don't need much time. You can do it on the go. So these are kind of the key benefits you get with a micro-learning solution. It's an interactive experience, but what's unique about the conversational way is that you simulate an interaction like one you have with your teacher, with your topic matter expert, with a guide, or with a coach, however you want to position your chatbot in this context. And then you take advantage of all these style elements that you have there. It's a casual tone. You talk in a natural way. You bring the topic closer, like you would explain it, for example, when you meet someone at a bar, compared to you write a PDF where you use complex professional terms. So it makes it really more accessible on a technical level, but also on a content level, because it makes it easier and boils a topic down to its essence. And the conversational way, what we see works quite well, is the storytelling approach, where you tell a story about a case, for example, an anti-money laundering case, and that's how you tell the story through the chat interaction, and you can even make the user part of the conversation, and kind of like as you have in a role play scenario, you could let them decide which path they want to take, so that you not only have an interactive experience, but also one that's personalized and adaptive to the decisions a person can take within such a conversation, and also the needs that actually they might have when it comes to a certain topic.
Now, do you integrate video in that too? Is that possible?
It's possible, yeah. There are two ways where you can how you can experience these chatbots. Like one is in the browser, and another one is in Microsoft Teams. So the video question depends a bit on the channel. Like in the web browser, you can use the videos, whereas in Teams, it's not supported by the Microsoft Teams environments and Microsoft. Yeah.
We should do something about that.
At least yet, yeah.
Well, we'll talk to them about that. But okay, that's one part of my question, because you can integrate multimedia basically in the system, which I guess it's important too. But the next question, and you can see it coming, you can feel it coming. Everything is buzzing with AI. And I'm not asking this because it's hip and happening, but in one of the previous podcasts we had a discussion about would you be able to create to teach history through ChatGPT or something similar, using a conversational approach to teach history. And that actually led to an interesting discussion, because it's basically teaching or learning in a conversational environment. You guys are actually doing it. You're doing it with a structured chatbot. But what do you see happening introducing AI in this realm? Because I presume companies are probably asking for it. It brings some efficiency. How do you see that? And we're looking ahead a bit, and maybe you guys are already working on it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when you look at our website, there's the .ai in it. But when you look at the solution as of today, there is no AI in it.
I didn't want to say that. I wanted to spare you that. You
just want to be transparent about that. You have to know what you get. And we know that that AI technology, conversational AI, is something that works perfectly in a solution like ours. Up to now, we haven't perceived solutions that we felt helped businesses in an easy way solve a relevant case in an economical way. So up to now things are changing. So quickly, yes. And I like to ask back, what is it that you want to automate, that you want more efficiency in? And the context we are in, it's like 180 degrees different from a customer care scenario. In a customer care scenario, customer is king. She can ask the question, and if the chatbot is good, it has the right answer right away. Sadly, that's not happening
mostly
on that many cases and most times. So we flipped the situation 100 degrees around. So it's not you as a user that steers and guides the conversation, it's the bot. So the bot takes you at your hand, guides you through a topic like a teacher would, a coach would, or an assistant would. And in the context of learning, this makes complete sense, because you might not even know what the topic is about. You might not be able to ask questions. So you want someone that explains it to you in an easy way. And besides that, that's much easier to build.
Pascal, I fully agree, because I did large projects with outbound chatbots, same concept. You're one of the few other people in the market that understands that and the logic behind it, because it allows you to create a stable use case very quickly and get users on board. And once you have them on board, then you can introduce the AI, and not before. Because if the AI doesn't work properly or doesn't give the right answer, people are, bye-bye, I'm not coming. You lose the volume, you're done.
It's about simplicity. Everybody can build such a chatbot. People can do that in an hour or two, and then they're good to go.
Technically speaking, yes, but proper writing for a conversation is actually different than regular.
You can reach a level where you have a version that works quite well, and of course there are some levels you can take more to optimize it language-wise, experience-wise, media-wise.
Yeah, I agree. So if you look at the AI, which is out there right now, and what you see happening, because I'm pretty sure you guys scan the market for options that actually would work for you or for your customers. Because I presume the AI you would use needs to be trained on the actual content of the company itself. So you cannot, you don't want the whole internet and everything in the world. You don't care. You train them on a set of data that is available within the company. But do you see that happening in your company in the short term, that you guys are adding something to it or some extra layer?
That's the idea that we have now. We don't have plans that specific how to do it, but basically the question again here is like, what can help us AI achieve? And having a content creation tool in a broader sense, like one way would be to help the creators create their content faster. Like when you have, for example, not company-specific content, IT security, for example, maybe also compliance topic, then a solution like ChatGPT could help to develop a baseline of a chat that you can build on. So that's one way that we're looking at it. And another one would be more in the direction that you mentioned, that you could plug in your custom knowledge base and then build on top of that. Yeah.
Basically train the AI. With your
I'd say for
set.
us, that's not something that we're doing in the short term, but that we're looking at right now to figure out how we can solve it best, because we still want to make it as easy as possible and economical as possible for customers.
Ideally, I don't know if it would work, but if, a while ago you showed me the solution, it was really interesting. But ideally, you use AI to create a solution where the people in the company have no maintenance to do on the actual concept. So you use the AI to generate, I wouldn't say new content because it's existing content for the nuggets or the micro learning, as I would call it, based on whatever enters the database or the data set they learn and the amount of, I don't know, how important it is for the company. And then based on that, you create new micro-learning nuggets and send them out. Same way, still structured, but based on training data of the company. I could imagine something like that would happen. And then the people in the company who take your solution, they don't have to spend as much time on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it sounds realistic. It's just my head.
No, it's something that we can envision too. And I'd say, again, it comes back to automation. And then there's the discussion you'll have, is it worth investing in the automation? Or is it such an edge case that you're still faster writing it manually? That's probably something that will stay around as a discussion.
Yeah, you have to experiment.
Yeah.
But I can imagine, actually, we should do that experiment. I was thinking before where I was preparing our podcast. What if you would have a topic where you would ask ChatGPT or another one to create the content ready for learning, so create the micro nuggets. Let's say it could do that. And you also said, while you make the micro nuggets, please make multiple choice questions to test if they understood the micro learning, and also give me the right answer. So so we know how to judge. So basically, I would imagine you could ask ChatGPT to actually make the questions and the answers. I don't know if that would be correct, but out of
that's possible.
The data.
Already today. Yeah,
you tested it already.
Yeah, don't know exactly the prompt by heart, but there's a way that allows you to do that you can plug in a text and then ask it to do a multiple choice question on top. So this functionality is around, but I think what we still need to mention when we talk about ChatGPT is like, yeah, there is output of the tool, but of course it still needs some human verification, like if this is really true, if there is something missing, if there is something false even in it. So I'd say it's good as a baseline, and of course it doesn't replace the humans that in the process. It hopefully makes them more efficient, leads to better outcome, better user experiences. So that's
I agree. And at the same time, I think we start to understand what is going to be possible, not just ChatGPT, but in general with AI. And I think we also understanding better the limitations of it. And the risks involved, because one of the things I see happening that you need of course you need a human layer on it somewhere to filter, but there's also some ethical stuff that needs to be solved, because you see these jokes going around on the internet that if you ask it for a woman, then it's offensive, but the same question for a man is not offensive. That's really weird. So that kind of stuff, and these are relatively simple things, but there's probably more complex stuff happening under the hood.
Yeah, and not to mention the whole IP, intellectual property level as well. Yeah,
so how do you view that? Yeah. Because that seems to be also a whole discussion. Do you think or feel that AI-generated content is IP free? Because it's based on something out there. And interestingly enough, as I told you before we started, I asked ChatGPT a few questions and I asked it to put in references, and it literally gave me references where it got the information with the actual pages, where it retrieved the information or the knowledge. So, but how do you view this?
You're hitting a mark here, certainly. I think what you mentioned here is also transparency. As of today, it's a black box. You get output. You don't know what the source was, what exactly happened that led to that output. So now that you could ask it for sources, that's one step ahead.
I didn't check them, so I don't know.
Exactly, that would be the next step. You have to verify that if that's on that page, what it claims to be on that page. And from the rumors that go around on the web, Google's solution Sparrow should apparently mention the sources that it built on. So that would be certainly one. And that's another one in the right direction, I'd say, to make it more transparent. Yeah.
There's another company in Israel, AI21 Labs. I think they do that as well. They also give references. They solve the problem of ChatGPT as well. Yeah. Because it is a problem. You need to understand what the source was of the information. And that also, if you look further, if you want to use in-company data, then ChatGPT is nice, but then you need to copy-paste, and that's limited. So it won't work right now. And the other companies, I think, will allow you to train your own data on your own data.
Yeah. And speaking about IP, I think there's a legal level, and there's also probably more on the conceptual, creative level, or philosophical level, like what when is something considered original?
Let's discuss that, because
considered a plain copy.
Because there's also the systems that check if it was constructed by AI, but then again you change a few words or sentences to tease that system to not find that it's constructed by AI because you changed a few things that are human, or you made human mistakes. So the system, it's flawed on every level. You can construct AI, change a few things, and then you can't find it in the detection system that it was constructed by AI, or that it's fraud. You copied something. I think the software itself does that too, to make sure it's not literally copied. But here's the scary part. How do we know we're not infringing on someone's IP. I mean, I know there's some company already with the images. There's something going on against DALL-E 2 with that story, but aren't we going to get the same thing with text? And on the other hand, if you put something out there on the internet, it's out there for the world to see and use. So how does that work for IP?
Like on the tool level, it's probably going to be a cat and mouse game. Like one step, AI is capable to produce content, and on the other hand, there's a tool that's capable to figure out if it's generated by humans or machines. So this probably be some, one time this system will be more advanced, the other one will catch up. So, but I think from a consumer and user point of view, I mean, in content marketing, even like 10 or 15 years ago, everybody was talking already about content explosion, like who should read all this amount of information that's out there, who should listen to it, who should watch it. And now that we have systems that are capable to increase more volume of content based on what's already out there, so kind of there's not much new. There's nothing new added with these generative AI systems. So the whole
you mean they generate based on what's already out there, or
yes,
in their database?
Yes. Thanks for the precision there.
That's what I mean. I had a whole discussion with one of my kids because we had a discussion about linear thinking and exponential thinking. So people cannot think exponentially. They can only think linear, and only based on what they already know or have seen in a movie or whatever. You cannot envision something you can't envision. It's a philosophical discussion, but it's very interesting. But if you look at what's out there and intellectual property, I think it's I don't know. It's starting to be a very gray area. Maybe we should invite a lawyer to the podcast and discuss this, because I think everybody knows something is off here, but we don't know what. We don't know what the laws are. And I'm pretty sure on a European level we'll see some legislation protecting at the one hand, but I don't know. It's a good idea. I have a lawyer in mind. I'll ask him if he's interested.
The thought I wanted to bring up before is like with the whole amount that's now more generated than before, like from a user perspective, you don't get anything new. So if you want to stand out as a business, you have to find something that's new, that's original, that's unique. And of course, that's much harder to do and to pull off than just generate it with a machine. But I think there will be a real incentive for businesses to produce this kind of content, because this adds something new out to the web, so to speak, that's not already out there.
You mean generated by people, not by AI?
Yes, or assisted with AI as well, but something that adds a new piece.
Yeah, but if you look, for instance, the people that write articles or content, I'm not talking about news, but just knowledge. They usually base it on whatever they find on the internet, or articles they read, or research papers they read. No different from what AI will do. So, and interestingly enough, there we don't have IP issues because someone writes an article. And as long as you state your sources, then I think IP-wise you're fine. And that's probably where the problem with AI kicks in. You do not properly have sources for everything that's out there. But anyway, I think this discussion is going to be an interesting one, and it needs to be resolved before everybody starts applying it, and we sort of drown in lawsuits about IP. I don't think our judicial system or any judicial system is looking forward to thousands of these cases.
We can build some chat-based learning nuggets to raise awareness about these topics. So this could be an application.
And actually, it wouldn't be weird that if you in company you explain the rules and limitations of these kind of models and what you allow and will not allow. It's not a bad idea. to offer that as a standard thing, because it's hip and happening, and in schools, everybody's using it.
Yeah.
And more than we know, probably. And if you look on LinkedIn or Facebook, I start to recognize now. You see a lot of posts that they're generated by AI.
Yeah.
Because they're so overstructured. I can't really explain, but I guess you know what I mean. So,
it will be a label probably to add something like written by humans to your articles or posts, or a T-shirt. I write my own post, something like that.
But this text was created by AI. Yeah. And that could happen. But it interests me because also if I look at the whole AI story in conversational technology, I strongly believe that the business models of the Googles and the likes, and the advertisements of all commercial parties, it is over. Why would I advertise? Because there's no advertisements to be seen in any chatbot. Why would you do that? And if
this is a very interesting question. It certainly is a disruption.
Hold on. Because if the algorithm looks for the relevant information for you and sorts it based on peer reviews or whatever, and gives you would ask, okay, what is right now the best mobile phone for under 500 euros? I don't know, with these specifications. It will come up with facts and finds prices for you. And it will ignore advertisements. So what if you are not influenced by advertisements, just the facts that you ask or give? What would happen? I truly think all these companies that are advertising that or doing that kind of stuff, it's over. SEO, it doesn't work anymore because AI works differently. It just indexes information. Mm-hmm. So whether you are SEO optimized, it's irrelevant. You need to be AI optimized, and nobody knows how to do that.
Yeah.
So can you follow my brain dump here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I certainly see it as a huge disruption in this market, search market. The question is still like, does it add more search volume? Does it replace search volume? And if we continue using conversational AI systems to find the smartphone, the mobile price plan that you mentioned before, how do we pay for this service? With the search engines, we pay with our attention. If we pay with our attention in the conversational AI systems, they will have to monetize it through ads again. So then that will be just a substitute. Maybe we pay subscription.
Because here you're getting somewhere. Let me put it differently. If you are Googling and you get 113,000 hits, okay, you only look at the first ones and you get frustrated because they're ads. It's not what you're looking for. Or it is what you're looking for, but you're being manipulated into clicking on something that might not be the best thing for you. And a lot of people have stress of choice. There's too much choice out there. It's like going to a restaurant where you have 200 menu items. So, and they give you 5 minutes to pick what you want because they're in a rush. Because they need so much time. They have so many menu items. They need enough time to prepare. What if you can reduce the stress? Wouldn't you be willing to pay a little bit every month to save you or buy you actually a lot of time? What if you could give that chatbot or technology the things you like or the things you want, whatever, as a standing order, and it just pings you or sends you a message in WhatsApp. By the way, I found it. It's here. You want to buy it? Yes. Okay. Boom. It's basically conversational commerce, but then turned around. Mm-hmm. Would you be willing to pay for that to make your life easier? And actually, through the good deals it would find for you, if you're looking for products, basically the cost of the service would be zero or negligible compared to the advantage you have in terms of the deal you get buying the product you want.
That's probably something, or that's what generally is perceived as the goal of Amazon with Alexa. Like when you ask Alexa to, well, which is the best running shoe for me, then you also get one example. So it certainly helps, like a huge set of options and choices doesn't help. Yeah, that's limiting. When you look at the search data, I don't know the percentages by heart, but I know 80% of clicks go on the first search result. So this reduction is already taking place, and with Alexa and these systems, it's been around for quite some time. Question still would be back to the point before, like the transparency. Like, do you know why this decision? Why this decision is happening? Why is this running shoe recommended? Because it's the best for my choices, best for Amazon. Correct.
And with the highest commission or the highest margin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So that, and there comes the point. If you sort of own, or if you are the subscriber of that bot, and basically the bot works for you and not for any other company. It would be like a personal assistant taking care of your business. Mm-hmm. Then you give the motivation why, what you need. It's the other way around. You don't ask him what is the best one. Give him my parameters. What is the best deal or the best one? But the parameters you give him, or the conversational technology, or it will ask you. What you can define that. Or AI can define it. Anyway, it's just a wild thought. I see that changing.
I see this as very valuable, and I'd personally be willing to pay some price. Like, let's say if this system knew which type of running shoes matches my style, and I don't know, doesn't hurt my knees or whatever. If it has this history and can take all these personal factors into consideration, and this leads to an output that matches my needs, then why not?
But the same thing if you're you have small kids, but not that small. But let's say you have a baby and you have a regular. I mean, you're using diapers in large volumes. What if your bot would be looking for best deals of a certain brand or type of diapers? It understands that your baby is growing, and it also apparently understands how often it takes a shit or a piss or whatever. So you need to reorder. And basically, based on that data, it can tell you, okay, you probably need to reorder about now, but has your kid grown? Please check the weight, because you might need a bigger size. But hey, I'm looking for the brand you like for the best deal where to order. That would be ideal. I mean, young families would be helped by not wasting time, and they're tired anyway, on looking, and it's being done for them. I mean. It would make everything transparent in terms of pricing.
Yeah, it would certainly be a relief for young parents at this stage. Yeah, you have to.
It's just an example, but I'm trying to figure out the value. And if you would take the idea, and bring that to learning, because then we're going back on topic. Don't worry. If you bring back to learning. And we explore the options of AI and the crazy shit that can be done. How crazy would you go in education or learning with the things you do combined in the future? I'm not talking about now, with AI. How crazy are we going to get? Are we going to kick out all the teachers? Will they be, instead of teachers, there'll be guides guiding kids or in university through the knowledge? Is that something that you see happening? Because to be honest,
it's a replace.
Hold on. To be honest, in all fairness, unless it's a research department, all the professors and teachers, they're teaching something that's already out there. They're not, they're explaining it. They're making you learn it by heart or understanding the context. Isn't that something? I don't know. The question is suggestive, but isn't that something that AI and technology can do for them? Far more efficient, far easier, always available. Also based on the concept you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it
So,
like similar to the discussion we had before in the context of content marketing. Like here, I would ask the question, like, how can we empower teachers to do a better job with AI? Again, I don't see it as technology versus human. This level, not the either that will replace the other, but
it's a
like how can
corporation.
it work together the best? And when it comes to learning, I mean, yeah, the needs or that's different. We talked about history before. Yeah, I mean, what AI could and sometimes already is capable to do today is like to create a curriculum that matches your individual needs, maybe knows that you're very fit on the French Revolution, but not when it comes to the industrialization, so that you would get more to learn on that topic and the details in that topic. So this is something, yeah, that could be automated. And yes, good teachers are also capable to do, like to figure out like how exactly can I get this topic across to that student so that she or he can learn it best. So I see there a huge potential. Yeah.
Yeah, because teachers with large classes, it's impossible for them to personalize the learning. It just doesn't work. So I'd be really, really interested to look 10 years ahead and see what education looks like then.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it will be different than from what we know now.
Yeah, I mean, the first reaction now that you hear in some headlines is like, oh, schools prohibit the use of ChatGPT. Well, I mean, it's in the internet. You cannot put it back in the box.
No, but exactly impossible. But if I was there and in charge, I would say, no, we're going to let them use it, but we're going to teach them how to filter what's real and what's not real, to understand that they need to be the filter. And that starts with how do you ask the question and how do you judge the results. And if you teach them how to use it in a proper way, ethically, etc., and to rewrite maybe some of the stuff it produces, you're teaching kids to be ready for now and not for 20 years ago. Because basically that's what we're doing. We're teaching them to be ready for 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a waste because they'll do it anyway, but just don't tell anybody.
Yeah, maybe they fall victim to biases and false info and they don't know exactly what's happening.
I think you can leave out the maybe.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, I believe more in increasing the competence and empowering people to use it and students as well to use these systems. And to figure out, I mean, you will still need to learn a lot. You still need to learn basic skills like doing research, critical thinking. This will be much more important as well. Like with the calculators, we still learn to calculate in our heads. Of course, we have calculators. Sometimes it makes much more sense to use a calculator, but it's still worthwhile being able to calculate some numbers in your head.
I fully agree. Sometimes you don't have a calculator or the battery doesn't work or whatever. If you look at what's out there in the market, that could be on in the field of learning or in general. What do you think is the most interesting use case of chatbots or chatbot technology from your perspective?
So we understand learning in a broader sense, and quite often we don't see it too strict, limited to education, because everybody that's a knowledge worker basically has knowledge that he or she can share. And so we look at the topic in quite a broader sense. You could also say it's communication, it's education. So we see it really broad there. Where do we see the benefits? I mean, the way of interaction, like being fast, to the point, casual, easy to understand. I mean, that's how we communicate and interact in our private lives with our friends and family.
You mean WhatsApp?
WhatsApp. Other countries have other favorite messengers. But so this is the experience we expect. And now as we can tap into it and use it for a business purpose, like to change how people behave, how they think, how they do stuff. So this is a real advantage. Like it meets people where they are in a way they prefer. So like the marketer says, the worm has to be tasty to the fish. Did I say correctly? Yeah, I think so. That way around.
I understand what you mean. But if you look at I understand this, and I agree. But if you look at maybe in Switzerland, a concrete application of a chatbot, like something you use or something that you would like to use, but it's not there. Do you have like an example of a chatbot you would fall in love with? Not literally, of course, but for service purposes.
That I fall in love with.
Well, maybe that's a bit too extreme. Okay.
I can share some examples that are very nice that we've seen from our customers. I cannot disclose the brands at this stage, but one was, for example, in the context of compliance training. Like this company has their annual compliance training where everybody has to go through. So they get checked, they get the list for their audits. So this is what they have to do from a regulatory point of view. But as they also said it, like on a risk management level, that's not enough because we need people to be aware of the key messages during the year, actually when things could happen and when things could go wrong. So they start to repeat certain key messages, like being it around gifts and entertainment, like to what amount are employees accepted to receive gifts, just to repeat this short message. And also not just to send out the information, like what's the price level for each role or for different hierarchies of the company, but also to check and listen. Like a small quiz helps to understand, do people actually know it today? Have we done the job that we have to do with our compliance training, or do we need to repeat and keep going and repeat?
They asked the question to test the knowledge.
Yeah.
And if it's at a certain percentage, they would say, okay, enough people know it, or do they make it individual? Let's say if a person doesn't know it, or doesn't know it every time, has it wrong, which I can't imagine, but let's say they would. Then what happens? Do they make it personal? Start talking to someone? Actually, the manager talks to the person, or the system just keeps on going and trying to improve the score?
There are two parts of the answer. Like one is depends on the company that you look at, and one part of the answer is also the technology or our tool. Today we show aggregated data in the analytics. This might seem not to do the job in compliance training, but actually that is what quite a lot of companies require, and say that's already enough. And so some companies say we don't want more details because there could be.
But Pascal, then they see 95% of the staff gave the correct answer.
Yeah.
And if it's below,
so we have this high level view, we're good, or we need to repeat and do something again. Okay. So this is already the info that you can get out of.
Okay, interesting. So you think compliance training is a good use case for chatbots. I'd be amazed if what happens if you introduce AI in a compliance training, where you could get cases where it had gone wrong easily from the internet and ask questions about that and relate it to the theory that's happening. So you could combine the structured part with AI generated content. I would see that happening. And if you look at the news, the current news, is there anything that happens where you say, oh, if they only had used a chatbot in Switzerland for that would have made everybody's life so much easier?
Well, one topic that's actually quite global, I'd say, is climate change. So I personally think it's a very important topic for us and the next generations. And it also has a lot to do about behavior, about mindsets, and also about knowledge. We all know we cannot change from today to tomorrow instantly, but we need to learn how to do that. So that's so this could be one scenario. For example, if if we had a chatbot that would show up daily, share just one piece of knowledge that might be helpful, maybe not, might open the eyes or something, or just helps to change the behavior.
But here's an interesting
step by
one.
step.
Here's an interesting one. So let's say there was a chatbot to help you be more aware of the environment. So you learn on one hand, and you need to be more aware. Now in Holland, we all have, or almost everybody has, a smart meter, as we call it. I'm not sure it's very smart. The only thing smart it does, basically, it gives real-time data to the energy supplier. So that's the only thing smart about it, so they can invoice more accurately. But if you think about that, they also give monthly reports of your usage and compare it to the same month a year before, if you're still with the same supplier. So what if you have those data sources and you have like your I wouldn't say climate change, but your environment or your energy dashboard connected to your lifestyle in your phone, and you get in a conversational way, it measures, it says, because a lot of people have their lights on also through an app on their phone. I'm pretty sure it has an API you can connect to, and you would probably be able to measure the amount of watts you're using. Or hypothetically, the algorithm could calculate that. What if you sort of create awareness through to put all that data together? I don't know. I'm not sure how to do it, but what if we could? Would that solve or do the thing you have in your mind?
That would be certainly very helpful, like to build on actual energy consumption and,
but not
and
only
behavior.
But not only that, then it also, I would say, it would also analyze your shopping, because for your purpose, you don't share the data, by the way. I wouldn't like that. But basically, if you buy meat or fish or vegetables or whatever, and it says, okay, the CO2 impact of what you're doing is, and then it would also know how many kilometers you drove, either in an electric car, or on gasoline or diesel or whatever. You could calculate your impact on the environment and make you more aware of what's happening.
Yeah, I think one key advantage here would be like that the whole message that you receive would be very relevant for you, because the message you receive is based on your actual energy consumption and shopping behavier, and
then educate people.
And then educate yourself on that. Yeah, I mean, it's probably something that we want people to opt in.
Yeah,
it's probably hard to. We don't want people to force, because how probably not very.
If I was the government,
to the goal.
No, but seriously, if I was the government, I would say, okay, if you do this and you're more aware, and I'm not checking on the content, that's up to you, dear consumer or dear citizen. But this is so important that awareness eventually will lower your usage of energy sources or be more efficient with them. You get sort of points or whatever where you can decrease the invoice of your energy supplier. You get a discount or whatever. You make it like with the Fitbits of these days. It's competitive. You want to get better. And in one way or the other, you would like to introduce that for environmental things. So if you're able to lower your CO2 footprint, or I don't know, produce less nitrogen, something, or eat less meat, or eat more fish, or whatever, or a combination of the two, that should be rewarded. It's very paternal, would be from a state, but in a sense, we need to do something, and you want to create awareness, and from awareness, people will probably move.
Yeah, so the point you mentioned about the energy monitoring smart meter system, like what studies have shown is like when you know more how much you use, you're more aware already. So that's kind of the base layer to build on, and from there you can build it out further. Like
but
more tailored. Maybe that's something more between the utility provider and the consumers instead of the government, because
No, I understand, but now we
politically
get
not that.
in Holland, at least I get every month an email of the energy supplier comparing the past month with a month in the previous year. But it's so much text, I don't read it. Tell me what I need to know, and could I do better? That's all I want to know. And if yes, tell me how. So educate me on. But I don't have time or the need to read a whole bunch of pages. Just give me nuggets or micro learning. And if I can't do it myself, connect me to something or someone that can help me do it.
Yeah. We have a partner that produces content that goes in that direction. Like one of the tips that they shared, for example, like when there is air in the heating system that uses more energy. So by letting it out, speaking in simple terms, you can reduce the energy you need. Just raising awareness, like there's one simple trick that you can apply and doesn't cost you much. It doesn't lower your comfort, but you just might not have known that it exists and that was possible.
I know, but then shouldn't we have like equipment? Everything is connected. Everything is not everything. A lot of machines are now in the house IoT. So why isn't the system that heats up is my heating system? Why can't I have wireless thermostats on my radiators? So basically, it's all connected. I do it through an app on my phone. Works really nice. Why is the big machine behind it, where the gas goes in, why isn't that connected to the internet or to an IoT device? Because basically, it can tell me there's air in there. I'm using more gas than I should. And the solution is let out the air or fill up with water.
It probably has to do something with incentives. Might not be the organization that wants to tell you to reduce your consumption, but
and then you need the engineers
connecting systems, creating more transparency and sharing actions that need to be taken based on this information.
Because that's
cool approach.
Because that's when we talked before and still now, I'm pro democratizing knowledge and information. It's also what this podcast is about. Let's share knowledge. Don't keep it. And that's what you guys are doing in company. But I can imagine at some point you have learning methods, not just in company, but general things you can share outside the company for general purpose.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you're going to do that, but I would imagine that is something on the roadmap.
Actually, we have customers that use our solution also towards their customers.
There you go.
Also for awareness use cases like traffic security, for example. After
they've been drinking, or security test, of course. If you look at the future of chatbots, voice bots, technology, AI technology in general, low code, no code, or just code, where do you see all of us moving? What if you look ahead a few years in time? What do you see? Of course, AI will be in it. I understand that, but more in general terms.
Yeah. The answer to this question is certainly very different than a couple of months ago already. Now that we experience all this technology, ChatGPT in the headlines and other systems that might follow, and other updates and versions that might follow, what we already see, like someone who I'm sharing office with here, he said like a colleague from him in Greece, a farmer in Greece, talked to him about ChatGPT. So the person that's not that tech savvy apparently, but just to give an illustration of probably what everybody can share right now. It's just this technology seems to be all over the place, and that's of course the headlines and the spotlight right now. But also I'd say it's a way how that technology gets democratized. It will be much more commonplace to see it. As soon as you have have it in Microsoft Word,
Yeah.
everybody will have this
You have no
tool
choice.
at hand, basically, and
you have
we'll
no
have
choice
to
anymore.
find out how to use it. Yeah, and yeah, so basically it will be baked in wherever we look. So I could imagine that it will be quite required actually for some use cases also, like of course increases the threshold for certain markets because you have to have that in certain solutions, for example.
I think otherwise you can't compete anymore.
Yeah, and as consumers, users, professionals, you just expect that you can solve your task, get your job done with the support of AI to some extent. And at the same time, I think there's a lot of, we still have to learn about this technology, like, yeah, how exactly not does it work? Not on a programming level, like, but what does it actually do? What is the output that I get? And what can I do with it, or what shouldn't I do with it? So there's a lot on the competence level, I'd say, that needs to be developed also over the next couple of years.
And I would presume, and I think it's already happening, that at least on an EU level, there will be legislation on how AI should work or could work, or some mandatory stuff in there, like explaining where you get the information and how you used it to come to a certain conclusion, in order to make, and actually that would also make transparent if the IP was stolen or borrowed, or that it's sort of original from not original, but it's from open sources where you can actually take it and use it.
There is actually a EU legislation going, the EU AI Act.
Yeah, I heard about it.
I don't know exactly when it's going to be written into law, or I don't know all the details, but I think it already excludes certain use cases. As far as I know, it doesn't address the whole IP stuff, but there's already something.
No, I know, and that's why I said earlier maybe we should invite a lawyer to talk about IP and the possible EU AI legislation, what that means for our business or our market, and the usage of AI in whatever we want to use it for. So I'm kind of excited to see what's happening. We can't look into the future, but I think that if we would do this podcast again in 5 years from now, we're laughing at the stupid things we said today, and we probably thought was impossible, and that AI applied in a proper way probably makes stuff possible. We can't comprehend right now, because as I said, we're linear thinkers. We're not exponential thinkers, and this is going to do something exponential. We just don't know what.
And probably there will be use cases that we look at that we just ask ourselves, why didn't we see that coming? It is so obvious, at least from a future point of view when you look back.
Well, from a medical point of view, it's interesting, because I know IBM Watson does it from a medical point of view, but it's, let's say you have a database that can handle all languages and translate back and forth. I mean, it's technically possible already. The technology's out there. It's not weird where you can state all the problems you have, including blood results, etc. Where you hold that against the database, multilingual, and research internationally and see if there's a match in terms of the complaints and the results in the blood. And you would probably find stuff which doctors not directly think of, and only find later. I would imagine that having sort of AI diagnostics running in the background and suggesting, like, not influencing the doctor, but saying, okay, these are possible options that you should explore because these reasons, and then they get sort of a direction. And I think a lot of people that have complex diseases probably could be diagnosed really early because of it. because only at the end, after they ruled out all the normal stuff, they find the complex stuff in an academic setting mostly. So what if you could democratize that also? I think the GP would diagnose faster and better. And I would imagine
early detection.
But we see this. Here it is. I'm saying this because we've seen this in movies, right? It's not exponential thinking. This is linear thinking. I've seen it. I've heard it. It's not there yet, but we know it's going to happen because somehow this was pushed into our minds, or my mind at least. But I can seriously see it happening because there's only so much doctors can remember.
Yeah.
This is what I envision. Mm-hmm. So that based on that the software hospitals are using, based on all the data, connects with some sort of AI system that tells them these are a few possible diagnoses you can look at and get inspired as far as you want to inspire a doctor.
Yeah, or creative. At least shortcut some stuff, like to not doing certain analysis to figure out if it could be this disease. Maybe you could avoid it because your system would tell it that based on this and this factor, the likelihood is quite high. It might be disease X instead of Y. Something.
Yeah, actually, education, and I think your system would work also in healthcare. Because a lot of medical professionals try to educate their patients on lifestyle things or diets or whatever they need to do in order to have a better life or healthier life.
It's a very nice use case as well. It goes into the direction of prevention. It's also a lot to do with awareness, and certainly when you have a
Yeah, but not just prevention. But if the doctor tells you to take medicine and tries to explain to you that consistency in taking medication is very important, when you sit there and you get this horrible diagnosis, it goes in one ear, it goes out the other one,
you don't know
and you have
do.
forgotten. What if it's translated, the diagnosis, to a learning system where it takes you step by step through, okay, this is what the doctor told you. Very important to understand. It doesn't mean you're going to die, but you need to take your medication. What happens if you don't? Is this and this and this. You don't want that to happen. And you keep repeating that every once in a while with a little bit of new knowledge or new research. So people are more aware of what they have and that why they should take their medication. And that's also preventive medicine because they don't get, exacerbations and have to be in hospital, for instance.
Yeah, you hit the nail on its head. We have a new customer that actually does quite just this use case, to educate customers about the disease they have and how to apply certain devices
that
I didn't the customer have to use. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Because you're in I luckily haven't been in that situation, but I could imagine once you're diagnosed, the whole perception of yourself and the world is probably going to change to some extent. There's a lot that you probably have to learn about the way you should behave and live and maybe change some habits. So it's definitely a learning context as well.
But also new insights.
Change,
Yeah, because the medical profession advances, the new research, new information. So it's and the doctor that needs to be educated on updates in research or whatever findings they have, but also the patient. Mm-hmm. So I think the system works both ways. System works both ways. Anyway, so we're not trying to solve here the world health problem, but we're onto something. You brought a few chatbots to test, right?
Yes.
I'm really curious. We're not going to test one of your own. We decided that was not a fair idea. We let other people do the judging.
We can share a link to one of those chats in the show notes, probably. So that
which one do you want to test?
So I just did some brief research about chatbots that would be available, and I found one of Peloton. So in the context of fitness, Virgin Atlantic, Bruce from Brussels Airport, and something real estate, Florida. I haven't
which one
tested
do you prefer?
them, but we can pick one of those.
I think an airline would be. We tested one
Airline?
before. It's two already, and I wasn't too thrilling. So I'm really curious if this is Virgin, right?
Atlantic. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to share
And
screen.
they're an interesting company anyway. So I'm really curious.
So probably needs a disclaimer, not affiliated with the airline nor the technology they use or the service provider.
Neither am I. And you know, some people, some companies we test sort of hate us because we test it like any consumer does, but it can be annoying because we find stuff they don't want you to find or they didn't know was in there.
Okay.
So we don't make everybody happy, but that's not the purpose we're doing this. We're trying to learn and give honest feedback, in this case to Virgin Atlantic. If they can do better, that's fine. We'll be honest, they can do better. And if they're doing a good job, then also good. We always read out what we see because on Spotify they don't see screen recording. Well, it says here, Virgin Atlantic, can I help? Hi, I'm Amelia, the Virgin Atlantic help bot. Give me a try. I have answers to many common questions. And then there's a chat screen that is already filled with messages, and it's too small. That's number one. I don't know if you see the same thing on your screen, but I see a small part of the text. It says, let's chat. Hello, you. I'm Amelia, your Virgin Atlantic help bot. I'm here to help guide you through and then you need to scroll down, policies and processes and get you to the right part of our website. You won't be able to speak with an advisor through the service. Okay, it's clear and honest. Basically, it's a search bar on the website. That's what it does. It tells you where to go on the website. Okay. And there's more text underneath. If you have a travel voucher or open ticket and are looking to rebook your travel, the easiest way would be through My Booking. Just go to make a change or click the red chat button. And then we need to go down again. To be connected to an advisor via the rebooking bot. There's a separate bot for rebooking apparently. The rebooking bot is available 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. UK time. And then there's more? Okay. Are you looking to rebook your flights? And the answer was no, right?
Okay. It's quite an introduction here.
Yeah.
I usually like to start with the context, like where do we find this chatbot here? So it's in the help center.
Yeah.
It's not that popularly featured, so they don't put it front and center, or it doesn't pop up when you reach the help center. So it's just one element of their help center.
And there's
and
another,
as we can see visually, not that big also.
No, and there's another problem. The yes/no button for the last question, it's continuously there, and that makes the size of the screen where the chat is really small. Whereas the yes/no only relates to the last question, and now it looks like it relates to everything. Oh, you made it bigger. What'd you do?
Oh, I just tried to highlight the proposition here.
So you did something we have no
so now
idea
the window
what
got
happened.
bigger. That's interesting.
But still, the yes and no is stuck underneath, and it stays there the whole time, and it doesn't make sense related to the chat up there. It's only to the last question. So.
Yeah, I'd say as a user, I don't know exactly what I can expect here. Like the general introduction is quite broad. I have answers to many common questions. So this sounds to me like classical customer service, FAQ.
Yeah. And it starts giving you information without even asking me a question what I'm looking for. So about the travel voucher, etc. Apparently, it's only because probably a lot of people, it's the first question they ask. They already put it in there to make to give people a speedier, better experience to go straight to what they're looking for. Let's say if 80% of the people has a travel voucher or wants to rebook, then they're serving 80% of the people through that message. That could be the case.
But I could imagine it leads to deception on a user from a user side, or personally, I would perceive it as such. Like the promise here is quite broad. I help you answer questions. But then when I start reading here, the purpose is to get you to the right part of our website. So there's actually not that much that this bot can help me with, which is not wrong. I would just.
But we don't know. Let's test it.
Yeah.
So let's answer no. We're not looking to rebook our flights.
And sorry, just the second point, like because they have another bot for the rebooking, I'd say you probably need an introduction here before you jump into the conversation to find out which bot you should be talking to.
So basically the question is, but basically what you're saying is the question, do you have a travel voucher, you want to rebook your flight, should be at the left of the bot, not in the bot, and keep the bot nice and clean with little text. I agree. That would be an enhancement of, and then straight to the rebooking bot. Rebook bot. Okay, let's say no. We're not looking to rebook our flights. And hold on one sec. Oh, you pass now. This is really okay. This is funny. So we answered no. We're not looking to rebook our flights. The next thing we read, sorry, I'm not able to find a related topic. Can you rephrase and try again?
No.
What did you type?
Typed it again.
Oh, you typed no.
This was English, and now I tapped it in another way.
So now you type no in the actual message box, and then okay, your feedback is vital to how we run things around here, good or bad. Let us know about your experience with us. We'll use it to make ourselves better. So they're evaluating before we even haven't done anything.
Yeah.
And there's also no way. Sorry.
I'm already at the dead end here.
Yeah, and there's also no way to restart the chatbot empty.
Can we type it in?
Restart.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, I'll start over. Okay.
Might not be that common to type restart as a user.
Yeah, but it does. It does exactly. So now straightly type no, quickly.
No.
Okay, here it gives a different outcome. So because this is weird, exact same thing. Okay, great. I can help with lots of other things, latest travel news, including further info about travel to the US. Click here. Otherwise, ask away, and I will do my best. And then a new message. You can ask something like, "Can I change my flight?" or say something like "Help with flying club login." Or just type a keyword relating to your question like baggage, and I'm sure we can work it out between us. I would say vaccination. Let's see what it... That's interesting. This is impossible.
I would have to scroll up again to read the whole message.
Yeah, as this kind of information could change at any time, it's really important for you to check the latest official travel advice and entry requirements. But for which country? For changes to
Gov UK page.
Okay. For changes to travel restrictions, we can also visit our latest travel news page. Okay, that's cool. If you're flying from the UK to the US as a foreign national, you have the option to use Fly Ready to upload your documents, but this is not mandatory if you don't have time or Fly Ready isn't accepting verifying the details. This will be done at the airport. Please note that Virgin Atlantic has no COVID-19 documentation requirements to board the aircraft. Requirements are determined by destination's rules. My God, so much text. Have you recently tested positive for COVID-19 or had COVID-19 before and you will be flying with a recovery letter? Please select from the below options. So again, they have the options below the chat box. It's really complicated. I don't know what kind of technology they're using, but it's not very helpful. I think they could...
They are prepared for the topic, so that's...
Yes and no, because we just said vaccination, not for what, and they concluded it was for COVID.
Yeah, we didn't tell more than just the keyword. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're there, I don't know. I'm not sure about all the destination of Virgin Atlantic, but there's other countries that require other vaccinations in order to enter the country.
Potentially, yeah.
Then maybe they're not flying there, but they just assumed it was COVID.
Yeah.
And
I'd say it would be helpful at this stage to ask questions back, like what the MageNet hotline would do as well. Like, what exactly do you want to know about vaccination, or are you infected, or do you travel to a country that might still have some vaccination rules? So just to narrow the whole broad topic down a bit, that will
and
make it easier.
But also make the text shorter. There's too much information and the box is too small. It's just impossible. And I can't imagine what this looks like on a phone. Yeah, I mean, it's probably the whole, all the options you can choose from would probably take up most of the screen.
Let's see how it reacts when we type a sentence. Shall we try? I want to travel to China.
And does okay, this is really funny. It ignores the fact that Pascal just typed, I want to travel to China and I'm COVID positive. I tested COVID positive, and then and I'm COVID positive. That actually could be interpreted two ways. You're positive on corona, or you're tested positive.
Positive test result, yeah.
But it's great to hear you're looking to fly with us. All of our routes are from or to the UK, and all of our routes are from or to the UK, and we are a long-haul specialist airline. So if you're looking for a fabulous trip to some far-flung destination, come with us. We wrote China. For peace of mind, book directly with Virgin Atlantic. Our tickets include all fees, fares, and taxes, blah, 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 for any destination. Let's try to narrow this down a bit. Where would you like to go? Basically, you just said China, and they asked you again. So they have no idea what your intent is other than that you want to fly and know nothing about COVID positive. So we can assume that the model they have behind it, the intents and utterances, is very limited. Let me put it that way. And for an airline of this level, I think, and having this much time in COVID, having to change this, it's not star performance as they probably have on board. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the problem I see is because they say at the general proposition they write on the website is, I have answers to many common questions. So this is, again, very broad. Then in the conversation, after some back and forth, again, it says, you can ask something like, can I change my flight, or say something like, and then they give other examples. So they indicate to users that the bot can help with a very broad set of questions and troubles that their customers might have, which we now see it is not capable to handle. So
try Asia and Indian Ocean. Try to click that for a second, because I'm curious if it... so it does fly to China. This is really weird. It flies to Shanghai, China. They could have picked up on what you said. So now it flies to China, India, Pakistan, and the Maldives. And we said we were flying to China, and we are COVID positive. And it didn't do shit with that, which surprises me. Because it just follows its own protocol, and it doesn't really listen to what you're saying or interprets what you're saying in order to give you the right answer. I think they can do much better, to be honest.
Yeah, especially because they promise I have answers to many common questions. I mean,
let's ask them a weird question. No, not even that weird. Just ask, can I rent a car? We did that with KLM as well, and that sort of went... sorry, I didn't get that. Okay, did that answer your question? Of course not. Someone will help you better. If you like, go ahead and rephrase. If possible, please try to use a word like upgrade or baggage. Hotel reservation, maybe that works. I don't know. Clarify, so we asked, can I reserve a hotel? To clarify, did you mean, that was their answer, connecting flights, manage my booking, when the flights get released, none of these. So try none of these. See.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not able to find... It's
disappointing that they don't cover associated topics. I mean, they don't need to give the whole response or to handle the whole booking process, but at least a response.
And there's a mistake in our system, because when we click none of these, then it says, sorry, I'm not able to find a related topic. Can you rephrase and try again? That wasn't a part of the menu. That doesn't make the menu is gone as soon as you answer.
What would you recommend Virgin Atlantic to do?
First of all, I see two things here. I think they have a technology problem because the way the buttons are configured, it's a disaster. Because they're not they're connected to the whole conversation, but they're only connected actually to the last question or the last remark of the bot. So that's mistake number one. I think, but that's on their end of writing. I think their texts are way too long. They should have shorter text and be more concrete and manage expectations better. Because as you said before, I have answers to many common questions. Well, if you have the answers to many common questions, why don't you just put the common questions next to it and let me click on the common question and have the rest handled by the chat? You're not chatting, you're broadcasting. This is the difference. It's not a chatbot. Well, it is technically, but it's only broadcasting their own story, and half of the time it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't listen to if you have multiple topics in your sentence, which basically it says ask a common question that might have different topics. Either they didn't program it well, or their software just can't handle multiple topics in one sentence to take it apart and then answer it. That might also be the case, but then again, then it's a technology problem. I think I understand that they're trying, and I also understand now why they have a separate rebooking bot, and that's probably different software, because this software probably not able to handle a process. Actually, now I'm curious about the rebooking bot. Aren't you?
Yeah.
So let's try.
To me, this looks like something they tested. They had a chatbot project maybe around the hype time, 2018 to 20. They made some experiences that it didn't help that much, probably because also the expectation management and the experience didn't serve a great purpose. So that's why just hypothesis, of course, but they try to hide it actually somewhere in their help section, but still they want to say that they have a chatbot. So actually, I, as a user, really don't see a reason why I should start having a conversation here. I mean, if it's just one simple promise and it just delivers on that promise, would be much better than to have this broad scope of questions it's apparently capable to handle, but it's not. But
now, question of branding. We know Virgin Atlantic is a fancy brand, and Richard Branson is a really smart business guy with I think he has a great vision on how to do things, and he's a very wise guy, a successful businessman. What do you think of this chatbot compared to the image you have of the brand Virgin Atlantic? And you can be honest, and we'll tag Richard Branson in the podcast if he responds, see what happens. But how do you view this?
Personally, I'm very impressed with Richard Branson. I love to read his biography, and I mean what he built with the Virgin brand. I mean it's
amazing, right?
Really exception, and the brand serves in so many different businesses. Like it has its unique.
Oh, he's an exceptional businessman.
Yeah.
A visionary.
And also the brand for what it stands. It has some kind of rock and non-conformism to it, and
it's a bit of a rebel.
Yeah.
And this chatbot does not reflect any of that, right? Nothing. It just, I think it's more like a competition. How can we make it as difficult for you as possible? I'm not trying to be negative, but I really think they missed the boat here, or the plane in their case, to deliver on the brand value. And I think that's one of the things a chatbot, either it's internal in education or external, like this one, you need to deliver the brand value, or the brand values, so to speak.
I mean, at least that's how I perceive the brand. Maybe it's not how they perceive or position the brands themselves, or what they write in their branding guidelines, stuff like that. It's just, it sounds like any other website copy, customer service text.
exactly. And I think they can do so much better with very simple changes. And they might have to change tech, but it's easy to do. And I'm curious about the Rebook bot, because I would imagine it looks different. If we can find it, the Rebook bot, just type Rebook bot.
I'd say it's not even a question about the tech. It's actually more about why should we have a bot at the first place.
That too. That's the strategizing part before you start with the bot. But what I'm saying is that companies, what they do is they want to start a chatbot with the right intentions and the right ideas. That's all fine. And then they set up a team, and then they choose a tech stack to do it. Or they have a company that helps them, that chooses it for them. And what they generally don't do properly is that they look ahead, not just 1 year, not 2 years, but 4 or 5 years ahead, and find the craziest shit you could possibly do in a chatbot. And just imagine. And it's not, it's linear thinking, because everything is, we already do that stuff, but see if we could do it in a chatbot or help a customer in that way with technology. And if you then make the list of what you would like to do, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the tech yet. But if it's on the roadmap, that's also fine. But the tech shouldn't stop you from innovating and delivering a great service and keep on improving. It's a process of continuous improvement. And a lot of the technology, it does what it does, and that's it. And a lot of these companies are busy acquiring other companies, or being acquired, and the tech really doesn't develop as much as it should. And what we see on the other side now with, for instance, ChatGPT and all the other companies, it's going like crazy. So I also think a lot of the tech platforms are going to be obsolete, because they're going to be taken over by AI, not by AI itself, but by platforms that integrate fully with the AI stack and deliver a seamless experience to, or a wonderful experience to customers, and allow the people behind it to innovate and develop their services. So I think the innovation part on the chatbot does not correspond with the innovation image I have, and probably you have as well, of and the boldness of Virgin Atlantic. But let's see what happens. Rebook or change booking. So we're looking at the screen now.
I typed to Rebook bot in the type your message field, and it gave us.
Sorry. And to clarify that you mean. And then it gives us 4 options: rebook or change booking, help with open tickets, what's your change policy, none of these. But we're not going to do none of these, because we know it leads to nothing. That's the wrong connection.
Have a look at the Rebook bot.
Yeah, right? Let's see if it takes us there. I can certainly point you to where you need to go to make a change or rebook, or just take a look here for some of our general change policies, which is interesting, because it was an option in the menu, and we didn't choose it. So why would you refer me back to it? Sorry. Which of these best describes your situation? I have an open ticket, I have a travel voucher, I have flights booked, I've missed my flight. Let's try a travel voucher. Oh my God, so much text. Excellent. It's great. We can now start planning with a little more confidence. There are currently no change fees for the majority of our tickets booked before the 24th June of 22. However, depending on the cost of your new ticket, there may be some additional fare to pay, either in cash or points. The best way to rebook is via My Booking. So we have to log in, probably. Let's just try it. Yeah, and it takes us in. This is, I always wonder why they do that, because they could make this conversational as well. If you connect me to the page, you can connect me here and do the logging in here. Ask me, what's your thing? And then immediately take me into the application instead of taking me to the webpage. This is the easy way, but not the most customer-friendly way. I think
well, at least they said that they want to guide us to the right section on their website, so that's what they're doing here.
In the beginning, it told us they had a Rebook bot. Where is it?
Yeah.
So do restart again. That's what happened last time. Right?
Here, Amelia. Here.
I'm here to help you. Blah, blah, blah. If you're looking to rebook your travel, the rebooking bot. Where is it?
Go to make a change.
Yeah, but that's in my booking. Try and go to make a change. Make a change. Plans change. We're on a web page now with a lot of text. Change your data route, travel voucher, terms and conditions, flight disrupted. It's the wrong page even. Or make a change. Change your data route. But is there something clickable there? Oh, please log into my booking. There is no rebooking bot. And maybe it's behind my booking, but it's not out here.
Need help? There is something I can click on. Messages.
Oh, this is oh my god, what is this? This is chat, live chat probably. We get now a live chat box over the My Booking page. Thank you for using our messaging service. There's a couple of things to make you aware of before we get started. Firstly, if you're having a browse through our website and our chat window disappears, don't worry, we'll be right here waiting for you when you return to this page. Okay, that's also annoying. It should go to the next page. And secondly, your privacy is really important to us, so make sure at the end of our chat to close all browser windows to completely delete our conversation. This is really important if you're using a shared device. Now that's sorted. What can we help you? What can I help you with? Please select from the following options. And then it says managing my booking, fly ready and destination advice, my flight has been changed, help with checking in, flying club account, baggage, feedback, claims and expenses. I would be interested in destination advice. But see if we get a live chat or a bot. And then, so we chose. Okay, this is, again, same problem, so much text. And then it answers for information on terminals we fly to and from. The best place to look would be on our dedicated airport guides page here. Travel and entry requirements can change at any time, so it's really important for you to check the latest. My God, official travel advice and entry requirements here. Please note that Virgin Atlantic has no COVID-19 documentation, blah, 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 blah. What information would you like? Okay, we're back at where we started. Now all of a sudden it starts about COVID. We never asked anything here about COVID. So I'm not sure what this is. It looks like a chatbot or not, but it makes no sense. I'm sorry. This is a waste of time. Not the testing.
A website would be much more helpful.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that our testing is not a waste of time. I think we've proven that this wasn't consumer tested, to be honest. Because if they would have had a lot of consumer testing on it, they would have not put in this live. So, Mr. Branson, if you're listening, please respond, and we'll help you make it better. We promise. Pascal and I promise. We'll come over and help you. Right, Pascal?
We will fly in with Virgin Galactic.
Well, if they with Virgin Galactic, so we're going to space first. We'll join him on the trip. That's cool. Yeah. No, I think I think we can conclude that the Virgin Atlantic chatbot is there's a lot of room for improvement on all levels, to be honest. And I don't think any customer will be very happy with what he gets here.
Yeah, frankly, I think this is one of these type of chatbots that gives a bad reputation to chatbots. There was an intention there to do something with chatbots. They overpromised and underdelivered. It's really unclear from a user perspective what you get out of it, where you stand in the conversation, where you should go next. So
exactly. We agree, and we don't know what team is behind it. If there's a team behind it, they just built it once and left
probably
it.
Probably more than one.
I don't know, but I think maintenance is necessary. And then again, we go back to the tech stack. We don't know what tech is behind it, so it might not be that easy for them to do it themselves, or I don't know. But it's something for Virgin Atlantic to look into. Let's stop sharing. I think we've seen enough. Pascal, if you, we're running towards the end of the podcast. But if you could give our viewers, listeners, a piece of advice on how to do a chatbot or better, knowing with what you know about learning and how people perceive chatbots, what would be your advice, a takeaway?
It seems very common sense, but as the example we've just had a look at showed, like, start with your users in mind first, like who exactly are you talking to, what is the need these people have, and how can we serve that best, and is a conversational experience really better than another way of experience and interaction that you could design and deliver. So very basic actually, but when you start from there, you understand your users or have an idea about your users and build on top of that, then things will start to fall into their place. Like if you need a chatbot that's capable to understand open text language, or if you need a chatbot that just guides through a process,
or a combination,
or if you want to explain something like we're focusing on with our service. So that's where I would start, and keep it as short and simple and focused as possible.
And so you're also saying, please, and that's also a message to Virgin Atlantic, please talk to your customers and figure out what they need, because if there's a mismatch, you actually lose business and lose customers on the service part, which doesn't match up with the branding. And that's another thing. My takeaway from the Virgin Atlantic part was, make sure that your chatbot is on par with the branding message, because that's not a scary thing. If you don't, you ruin the brand.
Yeah, probably Virgin would be a brand that could have a different tonality. It could have been much more fun in it, or a bit more edgy, or I don't know,
a bit ballsy, a bit some more entrepreneurship. This is an administrative way of handling things. It's not, I'm afraid we, for Virgin Atlantic, that we agree on this one strongly. If someone is looking for you, Pascal, or wants to find you, how can they find you? Where do they find you?
One way to find and contact me is through our website. That's eggheads.ai, or LinkedIn is a good place to find me, Pascal Rosenberger. Just
we put you in
connect with me. Maybe add in a message that I have a bit of background, who you are, or what you have in mind, or what you would like to talk about. That's probably the two most direct ways.
Okay. Well, Pascal, thank you very much for being in the podcast. I really appreciate it. And your family allowed you to do it today, so on a Sunday. So that's really nice. And let's stay in touch over all the developments, because I think what we're going to see happening soon is that my projection is that you will introduce some AI in your software, and I'm really curious at some point to see where that leads to. So if you do, please come back, let me know, and then we'll talk about the injection of AI in the learning, because I think we're entering in that sense a new world, and your company are going to be part of that. That's my assumption. So thank you very much, and speak to you soon.
Thanks for the invitation and the great conversation, and I'll keep you posted.
That sounds like a plan.